everybody, and thank you for joining us for today's show of Let's Cook Raw. And I want to thank Larissa and Daniel for putting this concept together. I think it's a really fun thing to do. We can all kind of prepare food together, and then we can eat together. And the best thing is that we can eat healthy together. And so let's cook raw. So today's recipe is going to be zucchini rolls with a creamy chipotle sauce. So I'm going to reposition my camera so that you can see my process. Okay, how's that angle?
Pretty good, just a little bit towards you, just tiny bit.
Okay. All right, how's that? Too much?
Perfect. Yes,
okay.
That's good.
So for today's ingredients, we're going to be using zucchini, and we're also going to be using tomatoes and red bell peppers. You could use yellow peppers or orange peppers if you wanted to. I'm going to be using some celery and carrots, and then we have lemon, lime, and an avocado. And then I have some cilantro, which I just harvested this morning, fresh from the garden. And then we have hemp seeds that we're going to be using. Tahini, which is basically sesame seeds that have been blended together. And then we have 4 different kinds of herbs and spices we're going to be using: garlic powder, chipotle powder, and chili powder and onion powder. So let's cook raw. I'm going to be using 4 different pieces of equipment today: the knife, the cutting board, and I'm going to be using my Vitamix blender. And then I'm going to be using my mandolin. So a mandolin is simply a tool that allows you to slice vegetables really, really thin. You can use this for zucchini, you can use it for apples, you can use it for a wide variety of different kinds of things, onions. Now this particular mandolin serves as both a slicer and a julienne slicer. So it has a switch that you just flip it over like that, and that raises the cutting blades here so you can make slices or little matchstick sizes of different kinds of vegetables. I'm going to put this in the slice mode so it's a regular mandolin. Depending upon your tool, you may have 2 different devices, one for mandolin slicing and one for julienne slicing. So this also has settings. Most mandolins do. You have the lock setting, which raises the board so that the knife or the sharp edge is covered. And then you have 3 different depth settings, 1, 2, and 3, which lowers the board even further, so you can get thin slices or you can get thick slices. Now for this particular recipe, I'm going to be using the number 2 setting so that I have medium slices, not too thin, not too thick. And so we're going to start with the zucchini. I'm just going to trim the ends off a little bit, like this. Organic, of course. Organic for everything is important. Now, for the ends, I'm just going to toss them in the blender here. So that's going to become part of the sauce. Now, when you're using a mandolin or a julienne slicer, then you want to be very, very careful of your fingers. They make protective gloves that you can wear to make sure that your fingers don't get cut. You can also just, once you're experienced at it, you can just make sure that your fingers are on the top of the vegetable and nowhere near the blade. So as you're slicing, you want to keep your eyes on your fingers and you don't want to get distracted. So the first slice basically just peels one edge of the zucchini off, and I'm going to go ahead and put that into my Vitamix. And then each subsequent slice like this creates a little strip, a thin strip of zucchini, which we're going to use for our wraps. So I'm going to start a collection of these strips over here. Now for this recipe, you'll need about 3 or 4 medium-sized zucchini, or if you have really small zucchini, you may need to go to 5. Now, the key to this recipe is that this is kind of a fun recipe. So you can actually use a bit of your design skills here with this recipe to make it look attractive and appealing. You know, we eat with our eyes first. So when we make food appear appealing and attractive, then it actually tastes better. So you go slow here. I'm applying even pressure as the vegetable slices across the board. And this is what happens if you cram too many in there at once, then they start breaking. So it's best to kind of do 1 or 2 slices at a time. But these will be put to good use. They won't be wasted. So some of you I know got the email and purchased the necessary ingredients ahead of time so that we can make food together today. So I'm kind of pacing myself a little bit here so that everybody can keep up. Now, the nice thing about zucchini is that it absorbs the flavors of anything that it comes into contact with. So it's a very versatile vegetable. I'm going to start with a new one here. And zucchini also is known for its potassium content. And it has many other minerals in it as well, which of course are very, very good for us. That was a little thin in the middle, so that's not going to make a very good wrap. So I'm going to actually put that in the sauce. Oh, we're getting there. And the nice thing about raw food is that all of the enzymes and all of the phytonutrients and all of the vitamins and minerals and other nutritional cofactors are intact when we eat raw food, the way all the animals in the wild do. There, that's a nice one there. And all of the taste that comes with the food is also intact. Raw food just tastes better. It's a beautiful, bright, sunny day here in Southampton. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to type it into the dialog box, and Daniel will chime in.
Yeah, Brian, there was actually a question as to which brand of mandolin that is.
This is called Progressive. There's many different companies that make them, but I like this one. This is a good quality. It's, you know, good heavy materials.
Brian, I noticed that when I got to the seed part of zucchini, my slices got a little bit uneven.
Yes.
So how do you deal with that? How do you work out?
Well, a lot of that has to do with the size of the zucchini. So if you have large zucchini, mature zucchini, then the seeds are going to be bigger in the middle. And when they're young, when they're smaller, then the seeds are not fully developed yet, and so you don't get as much interference from the seeds on the ones that are a little bit smaller. So what size are your zucchini, Larissa? Are they small or large?
They just kind of medium.
Oh, okay.
But I guess I can skip that part. And how much of zucchini I can put in my Vitamix for the dressing?
Well, you can put in as much as you want, really. I would say maybe a cup or so would be the limit, you know. And if you did more than a cup, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It would actually just make your dressing, it would make it lighter, I think. And that is actually a good thing. It's good to have a little bit of zucchini in the dressing.
And how many zucchini rolls you anticipate to make?
Well, you know, I have some fairly decent size zucchini, and I'm getting some nice slices out of them here. So I'm probably just going to go with 3. If you have smaller zucchini or they're not coming out so well, you might have to go to 4 or even 5 if you are not getting good, nice, consistent slices like this. Because we're going to use these as wraps. So much like we would if we were doing sushi, you know, we would be using nori for wraps, or if we were doing collard wraps, that sort of thing. Okay, so I think I have enough, so I'm going to set this aside. And for the next step, I'm going to cut my red bell pepper. Now I have 2 red bell peppers here because I need some for the sauce, and I also need some for the filling or the vegetables that go inside of the red bell pepper. And I have both a female and a male version of the red bell pepper. So one has 4 bumps on the bottom, the other one has 3 bumps on the bottom. The female is sweeter and has less seeds. The male has more seeds to it as well. So I'm going to start by kind of cutting the ends off like this, and save the ends because we'll be using that in the sauce. And then we're going to remove the pith and the seeds from the middle. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make matchstick size slices about 2 inches long for each one of these red bell pepper. So that's about 2 inches right there. That's just about the right length that you want for the red bell pepper. So take your time. Like I said, presentation is important with this particular recipe. So you want to get the right size and the right cut on your vegetables. So you want them to be as thin as possible, like matchsticks, 2-inch long matchsticks. And red bell pepper, of course, is very high in vitamin C.
Hey, Brian, Sarah wanted to know what the difference between female and male peppers are, red bell peppers.
Well, the female red bell pepper is sweeter and has less seeds, and the male red bell pepper has more seeds to them and is not as sweet. It's kind of a ironic similarity there between the plant world and the human world as well, too, don't you think?
And how do you identify them, the difference?
Well, the female has 4 bumps on the bottom, and the male has 3 bumps on the bottom. So this is the female red bell pepper. You can see it has 1, 2, 3, 4 bumps on the bottom, and the male, which is this guy, only has 3 bumps on the bottom.
So would you recommend to buy females peppers
do.
at the store?
I prefer the females, but they are a little bit more rare than the males. Story of my life. Okay. And it kind of depends on the recipe. Sometimes the males are a little bit heartier, more filling. So red bell pepper gives you all that vitamin C without all the fructose that you would get from oranges. You know, Linus Pauling, who won the Nobel Peace Prize for his research into vitamin C back in 1910 or 1920, somewhere in that time frame, he found that the average American gets 1/10 to 1/100th the amount of vitamin C that is required. This is because vitamin C is a water-soluble nutrient, and it is heat sensitive, like many water-soluble nutrients. So when we cook red bell peppers and when we cook our other vegetables, then we're not getting the vitamin C that we need. So that's why let's cook raw. Actually, let's not cook raw. Let's prepare raw. Well, we call it let's cook raw because that's what people can relate to when it comes to a food preparation class. They tend to think of it as a cooking class. Did you know that more energy, more fuel is expended upon cooking food in this country than all the cars, all the trucks, all the trains, all the ships, all of the industry combined? That's a huge amount of consumption of non-renewable resources just from cooking food. If you think about it, everything in the supermarket, every can, every bottle, every box, every jar has food in it that has been cooked somewhere at some factory somewhere. That takes a lot of energy. And every restaurant has stoves, has ovens, has microwaves, has cooktops, and every house has the same: stoves, ovens, microwaves, cooktops, grills. All of that requires fuel and energy. So just imagine what this world would be like from that essence alone if we didn't need to use all of that energy. Everything would change. Okay, I'm going to save the rest for the sauce. And so for the sauce, we need about a half of a red bell pepper. So I'm going to, for my half, I'm going to put the ends in. So what I like about this recipe is that virtually nothing is wasted. And I'm even going to compost the stems. Don't know if you can hear them or not, but I'm surrounded by wildlife. There's a lot of birds out there. They're quite vocal today. They're probably enjoying the show. So I don't know if you can pick them up on the camera here, but okay, I'm going to save the rest in case we need more. Next are the carrots. And so we want to do the same thing with the carrots and the celery and the avocado, is we want to, and the tomato. So we want to make matchstick size pieces for each of those vegetables. So I'm going to start by slicing the carrot down the middle like this. And then we want 2-inch size pieces, so I'm going to cut the carrot this way to make 2-inch size pieces, and then I'm going to make matchsticks. So you can use your food processor with the shredding blade on it, but then you don't get the nice little 2-inch size matchstick pieces. And you want these to be relatively thin. And now the reason for the 2-inch lengths is it makes the assembly of your wraps a bit easier. Carrots, of course, are a great source of beta carotene. There's something called the doctrine of similars when it comes to food. And if you slice a carrot this way, that sort of resembles the iris of the eye. And of course, beta carotene is known to be good for the eyes. And cauliflower, when you cut it in half, it kind of looks like the human brain. And there's nutrients in cauliflower that's good for your brain. Celery sort of resembles the femur bone of humans, of course, and it has a high source of silica in it, which is necessary for the absorption of calcium, which helps to build strong bones. So this is the doctrine of similars. Of course, there's many different nutrients. There's in food and virtually all vegetables, there's at least 300 different nutrients, and probably many more. We're discovering more all the time. Probably more, like hundreds or thousands of them. Different vitamins, different minerals, different phytonutrients, like beta carotene in carrots. So you'll need about 2 carrots worth of matchsticks. If they're small or medium size, if they're large carrots, you might be able to get by with just 1. Again, you want to make your matchsticks as thin as possible. One of the things about cooking is that it tends to tenderize our food. So when you're eating raw food, then it's a bit tougher than what we're accustomed to. And so by slicing things thin, then it makes it easier to chew. It's a little bit more palatable that way. Maybe a little bit more familiar to some people. And this is the kind of recipe that you can not only enjoy by yourself, but you can also use for entertaining because of the design that we're going to create with these. It's kind of nice. Now, what's kind of big, I'm going to cut that in half like that. Okay, so we're going to save the other carrot for if we need it. So I start again with, you know, about a 2-inch size piece. Okay, and then we want matchstick size pieces of the celery. Celery is another vegetable that's got a lot of minerals in it, as well as vitamins, but grab a bowl here. And
I see a
second-
couple of questions in the chat. Is there anything that we can answer immediately, or it can wait until the end of the presentation?
Sure, ask away. What do we have?
The last question that was asked was, I would love to know the origins of this dish, how Brian came to create it.
Oh, okay. So this dish is inspired by Natalie Norman. I have modified it a bit to suit my tastes, but thank you, Natalie Norman, for your inspiration for this dish. She's another really, really good raw food chef. The modifications that I made include, I'm not doing any salt, and I also eliminated, I think she had nutritional yeast in her original recipe. Which I've eliminated. And I find that it actually, it tastes really good without those. So celery has, among other things, it has sodium in it, not sodium chloride, but natural sodium, which kind of gives us that salty taste, but without the negative consequences of sodium chloride. Okay, next I'm going to do the same thing for my tomato. Gonna make small, thin slices. As best you can. It's best to have a sharp knife for this process. I like Henkel chef knives, made in Germany. The one with the little silhouette of the little men printed on it. A set of Henkels will last you a lifetime. In most cases, you really only need one. And of course, tomatoes have that wonderful nutrient in them, lycopene, as well as many other nutrients. And again, with the doctrine of similars, when you slice a tomato, it kind of looks like a heart on the inside. And tomatoes happen to be very good for your cardiovascular system. How's everybody doing? Any questions, please feel free to type them into the chat box in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen.
Also, feel free to make progress pictures. I think it's interesting to see how everyone's preparation table look like, and how you cut your vegetables, and what it looks for you. We appreciate everyone's creativity and everyone's uniqueness in preparation.
I'm sure Dr. Graham will appreciate seeing your pictures as well, since he wasn't able to join us today, at least not yet. He may be able to show up late, but I certainly understand if he doesn't.
And when you replay the video and watch the images, it will be really nice to see your creations on that video as well.
Okay, and then we have our avocado. So I like to cut the avocado this way, all the way down. So the avocado is sort of oblong shaped like this, with the stem at the top, and the flower was there, and then it peels apart this way, and then I'm going to just notch it right inside of the shell. And then using a spoon, you can just scoop out your slices this way. Now for this recipe, this avocado is perfectly ripe, very soft and creamy. For this recipe, it wouldn't hurt to have an avocado that was just a little bit firmer, but this works too. Now for removing the pit of the avocado, what I like to do is I like to take a sharp knife like this and hold the avocado in one hand, and then simply stab the pit with the knife, and it just comes right out like that. So you're not having to try to scoop the pit out using a spoon. And then for removing the pit from the knife, you can take a wooden spoon like this, or wooden spatula, and simply tap it like that. Now when you tap it, you want to hit the knife, the actual heel of the handle, or the heel of the blade, right there on the wooden spoon. You don't necessarily want to hit it this way, otherwise it's going to cut into your wooden spoon and leave notches in there. Okay, and we all know what to do with the peel of the avocado. We did that last time. So the last bit of chopping that we're going to need to do is our cilantro. So for the cilantro, you just want to chop it into fine chunks. I start at the top of the plant first and then work my way down to the stems. So typically I'll save the stems or the bottoms for other recipes. The stems, of course, are a little bit tougher and not as sweet as the top of the plant or the leaf of the plant. So we're going to put that into a bowl. And now we're ready to make our creamy chipotle sauce. And the chipotle sauce is going to consist of, as I mentioned before, a half of a red bell pepper, which I've already placed a bit in there. I'm going to place a bit more to make up a half. I've got some zucchini scraps in there as well. The ends that I cut off the zucchini and some of the slices that didn't turn out so well. About 1 cup of those. And this is kind of optional, but it makes it a little bit lighter that way. And then we're going to put in a half a teaspoon of chili chipotle powder. Now, in this case, I didn't have the chili chipotle powder, so I just got 2 separate ones, and I'm going to measure them separately. So the ratio is about 4-to-1 when you're doing chili and chipotle. The chipotle is actually red jalapenos, so they're going to be hot, spicy hot. So 4 parts chili to 1 part chipotle. So if we're doing a half a teaspoon, then try to measure out a little bit less than half a teaspoon, about like that, of chili powder. And then just a pinch of the chipotle powder. Not too much here because, whoops, that would be too much. This is why I don't do it over top of the pitcher in the Vitamix, so it doesn't spill in. I always do it separately. So that's probably about 1/4. And I'm going to put that into the Vitamix. And next we're going to put in about 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. Okay.
Brian, why you choose to use garlic powder compared to regular fresh garlic?
Well, that's an excellent question. So you can use fresh garlic as well. The difference is that garlic, when it's fresh, some of them are more pungent than others. So you have variation there. But when you get the powder, it's more consistent. So you can get exactly the same flavor that you're looking for by doing precise measuring. So you get more precise measuring when you're using the powder. But fresh works as well. And then next we're going to put in 1/3 cup of hemp seeds. So this is organic. This is made by Nativas. It's one of my favorite brands, non-GMO. So whole hemp seeds in the United States are actually illegal because they don't want people buying the seeds and then growing the plants. So in the United States, hemp seeds are sold split. So that's why they kind of look the way they do. Outside of this country, I understand you can still get hemp seeds whole. And hemp seeds kind of give it a creamy, or they give any dish a creamy, nutty sort of taste to it. So I'm using my 1 pint ball mason jar for measuring. The measuring increments are right on the sides of the jar here. So I'm going to go with a 1/4 of a cup. Sorry, 1/3 cup of hemp seeds into the Vitamix. And then we're going to go with 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. Now you can measure this out if you want to, but in general, the average lemon is 2 tablespoons. So if you cut it in half, you're going to get 1 tablespoon per half. So I'm going to use the whole thing, and you can either squeeze this by hand, or if you have a piece of cheesecloth, you can use that for squeezing your lemon juice into the Vitamix. Or if you have one of these hand presses, this works well too. The purpose of the cheesecloth, or the hand press really, is to keep the seeds out.
Hey Brian, Jennifer wants to know if there is a difference between garlic granules and powder, and if there is a difference, is there a taste difference as well?
The taste would be the same. So for this recipe, it doesn't matter whether you use garlic granules or garlic powder, because we're going to be blending it all together anyway. The difference is really in the granularity of the garlic that's being served. And some recipes, then, you know, we would use the granules instead of the powder. But in this particular recipe, it doesn't matter. You can go with either one. Okay, and then we're going to go with 1 tablespoon of lime juice. Limes are typically smaller than lemons. Now this looks like a pretty decent sized one, but generally you're going to get about 1 tablespoon per lime. So I'm going to use both halves in here. So the lemon, the lime, the cilantro is going to kind of, the chipotle seasoning is going to kind of give it that Southwestern or Mexican sort of flavor that we're looking for. And then we're going to go with a 1/4 cup of tahini.
Brian, I have a question for you. What's the difference in taste between lime and lemon?
Well, oh, that's a tough question. I think that lemon is a bit more astringent. It has a greater pucker factor, whereas lime, in my definition, is a bit fruitier. I mean, they both sort of have that astringent sort of characteristic to it, but lime has just a hint more of a fruity taste to it, where lemon is a bit more pungent in its taste. And then lastly, we're going to go with a 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder. Okay, so that's again, you could use fresh onion if you wanted to. It's just different onions have different variations of strength to them. So in summary, what we have here in the blender is we have red bell pepper, we have a 1/2 red bell pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of chipotle chili powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/3 cup of hemp seeds, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, 1 tablespoon of lime juice, a 1/4 cup of tahini, and a 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder. And next we're going to make some noise. Now, for this particular sauce, we may need to add a little bit of water to it, and we're probably going to need the tamper. So we use the Vitamix. One of the things I like about the Vitamix is that it comes with this tamper or this plunger. And you know, normally you have the cover on the lid here, which allows you to add ingredients as you're blending. You can remove the cover in order to do that. You can also remove the cover and use the plunger. And the plunger actually is calibrated, so it has a rim on it, so that when the lid is fully seated on the pitcher of the Vitamix, then the plunger can't go any further. And this is measured so that it doesn't, it's calibrated so that it will not allow the bottom of the plunger to come into contact with the blades as the Vitamix is turning. So it's a very clever design. One of the things I like about the Vitamix. And I'm going to start making some noise now. blend it well. So you want to blend it for, you know, maybe 45 seconds or so. And you should get a nice sort of a brownish, orangish sort of mixture here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pour our dipping sauce into whatever serving container you like. And now it's time to make our zucchini rolls. So I'm going to start with one of my strips of zucchini, place it on the cutting board here. And then what I like to do is I like to butter it a little bit with some dipping sauce. This helps to make the vegetables stick a little bit better. And then you just start adding some vegetables. Start on the thin end first. So you want to not go crazy here. You want to just have 2 or 3 of each of the ingredients. If you really go crazy and you start adding too much, then your rolls, it's okay, but your rolls will be, you know, kind of a little bit on the heavy side or fat side. Okay, and then we're going to add some cilantro and some tomato. So we have celery, carrots, red bell pepper, cilantro, tomato, and then we have our avocado.
Hey, Brian, Karen wanted to know what brand of tahini that you're using.
What brand of zucchini?
Tahini.
Oh, tahini. Oh, okay. This is called Once Again, and what I like about this is it's organic. It's Project Non-GMO verified, and it's salt-free. So again, that's Once Again, unsweetened creamy tahini. You can make your own tahini if you want.
Yeah,
Okay.
this brand actually sells raw tahini as well.
Yeah. And then it's simply a matter of rolling your zucchini rolls carefully, like this. I like to use a little knife to help tuck it in. And there you have it. So I'm going to prepare this and put it on a serving tray like this. And you just continue this process until you've used up all of your produce. So I'm smearing some of the dipping sauce on there, and then just 3 pieces each. Celery, carrots, tomato, maybe about a tablespoon of this chopped cilantro, and about a tablespoon of the avocado. So maybe 3 slices if they're small like this, and then using the knife to get it started, roll it up, and using the knife to help tuck it in like this. And this is where you can really let your artistic side shine. It makes a beautiful presentation, and it's a delicious dish. we'll have plenty of this dipping sauce left over, so you can add more, when you're serving. So in the end, you're going to wind up with about 20 or so of these wraps, maybe 25. So that's enough for 4 to 6 people. Serves 4 to 6 people, depending on how hungry those people are, and whether or not you're serving this just as an appetizer or as an entree. So let's say we have celery and we have red bell pepper, tomato, cilantro. We've got the carrots. Okay. So where your artistic side comes in here is by the variation in the color. So of course, you have the red and the orange and the green and the white. And really the yellow from the sauce. How are we doing on time, Daniel?
It is 6 minutes to the hour.
Oh, okay. So we're right about on time. So this recipe takes about 30 to 40 minutes when you're making it. I've been kind of doing a lot of talking as I'm preparing this recipe, so that's slowed me down a little bit. You'll get faster at it, so you might be able to get down to 30 minutes or so. But the best part is there's no cooking, so you don't have to wait for the oven to get ready. You're getting all of those phytonutrients, the lycopene, the beta-carotene, the silica from the celery. We're getting chlorophyll from the cilantro. Essential fatty acids from the avocado. Oh, this one's a little big. I think I've maybe put a little too much avocado in there. That's okay. Still looks good. And you just continue this process until you're done. I'm probably going to pause after this one so we can enjoy our food together. We're reaching the top of the hour here. And one of the things we like to do here at Let's Cook Raw is always start our meetings right on time and finish our meetings right on time. This actually helps with productivity. So you can count on us to be punctual. You can plan the rest of your day accordingly.
And Daniel, you can unmute everyone, and everyone, if you have questions or your comments or other suggestions that will be helpful for Chef Brian. Also, if you want to share, if there are any particular dishes you want us to prepare in the future, we have scheduled many chefs to come next. Specifically, next weekend, Raphael will be back with his farewell spring dinner. And as we know, Raphael is very creative and uses very interesting ingredients always. So come back next Sunday. And again, if you have any questions to Chef Brian, now it's your time to ask them.
Yeah, please chime in.
Anyone's welcome to unmute themselves and ask Brian a question.
So what I like to do is, for serving purposes, I like to put the dipping sauce in the center of the plate like this. And then what we can do is we can sprinkle a little bit of hemp seeds on top of each one of the rolls, and maybe sprinkle a little bit of extra cilantro on top, and that adds a little artistic flair to your presentation. There we go. So let's do that. Just a few hemp seeds, like that. And a little bit of cilantro on top. Can't have enough cilantro. I love cilantro. You know, there's a Facebook group called I Love Cilantro.
This is so much fun to roll this. Yes. Wow.
And there you have it.
Well, take a picture, Brian, please.
Okay.
Very special looking.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, we're almost out of time. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I really appreciate your joining us. And it's good to get together in a virtual sense right now from people from all over the country, maybe even all over the world. And hope you enjoy your zucchini rolls with creamy chipotle dipping sauce. And we will be doing this every Sunday at 12 noon. And we have different guest chefs that will be coming and the chance to participate, to ask questions real time, and to also interact with some of the other attendees that are here. So thank you all for coming, and I hope to see you next time. So let's cook raw.
Is it the same?
I'll leave the room open for another minute or two just to let any last questions filter through to Brian.
Oh, okay. We still have time? Okay. I'll make another wrap.
And again, take pictures, please. We would love to see what you've done and how you interpreted the recipe and how it looks. And also comments are very, very important to us. On the website and under past shows, please post your comments. I'm sure.
Oh my God. I didn't put the tomato.
Well, it's still there.
I forgot the tomato.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
It happened. I have to keep track myself.
How does it taste? Anybody tasted your rolls?
Yes, it was delicious.
Really? Oh, thank you.
It's delicious, but I have a problem. The tomatoes are too soft.
Oh. Well, you know, you can use a spoon and scoop it on, kind of like I did with the Chipotle sauce.
Oh. Are you going to have the same Zoom number?
No, it'll be a different Zoom number every week.
Uh-huh.
But
And
all you have,
Yes.
where do we register for next week?
you go to letscookraw.com. Yep, letscookraw.com.
Okay. Thank you. It was beautiful. I enjoyed
thank
it
you.
very much.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Very colorful, right?
It's great. I had an issue with my zucchini. When I went to roll it, it kind of broke a little bit.
Oh, okay. So the key there is that you want to make the zucchini slices a little bit thicker next time.
Okay.
So
I just put
you know,
toothpicks in and it held it. But
you know, if and the worst case scenario, if everything falls apart, you can always just kind of throw it all together and make a salad and use this as a salad dressing.
I actually think the thinner they are, the more flexible.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I made mine very thin. Daniel, if you can spotlight me, I can show you guys. My zucchini, see how flexible they are? They're almost like a long ribbons. And I use this slicer. I purchased it on one of the shows, I don't remember, but something like that. And my zucchini rolls are very, very kind of this way, very thin.
They look beautiful. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. So you kind of have to experiment what will
Right.
work the best for you
Correct.
and what will work best for zucchinis.
All right, are there any last questions?
I actually made mine with cucumber because I didn't happen to have any zucchini, and it's terrific. But when I take a roll and bite into it, the filling's kind of like splurting out the back. That's fine for just me, but if I were going to serve it to company, is there anything I can do to make it more manageable? And I will say I cut my pieces a bit shorter, so I don't know if maybe the fact that the pieces are so short, they're not hefty enough to stay where they are.
That's good tip, thank you.
Who's it?
That's more a question. Is there anything else I can do to keep the things from kind of like splurting out the back when I bite into it?
Brian?
That's a tricky one. I would say you almost have to either open wider and try to eat it all in one bite, or you can use a knife and cut it in half. Cut it this way so that it's a little bit more of a bite-sized piece.
Oh, those are both great ideas. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, we're a little bit over schedule. Are there any more questions?
Okay, here's my little dish with the dipping sauce. Brian, that was fun and that looks delicious. And I will enjoy my lunch. Thank
Nice.
you. Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
thank you everyone for joining us. And we really appreciate your happy faces and busy faces making food with us. It was a pleasure to have all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.